Ada was the type of girl that liked to keep things clean, sharp and fine. Even if she no get plenty money, she knew how to look expensive on a budget. Her Instagram page always on point, hair laid, nails neat, lips always shiny. You know, those girls that look like they never sweat. That was Ada. She worked as a customer care rep for a telecoms company in town. Small salary, yes, but Ada had big dreams. She didn't play with her image, especially with the end of year company dinner coming up. That was the day she had waited for. All her haters at work would see the gown. The sleigh would speak louder than her salary. But Ada didn't want just any gown. She wanted something that would make people stop and look twice, something that would shut mouth. So that Saturday morning, after washing her clothes and rubbing small powder on her face, she picked her handbag and entered town. She had passed that boutique many times, Mystique Fashion House, tucked between a supermarket and a pharmacy. The glass doors always shined, the mannequins always looked like they had attitude, and their clothes, sweet temptation. But Ada always told herself, abeg, dat place go dey expensive. This time, she didn't know what pushed her. As she walked past, her eyes caught something on display, a long wine-colored gown, off-shoulder, with silver stones around the waist. It looked like the kind of dress rich wives wear in movies. Before she could stop herself, she turned back and entered the boutique. Immediately she stepped in, a cool breeze hit her face, the kind that didn't feel like AC, but like chilled perfume. The shop was empty, except for one woman sitting behind the counter, tall, slim, skin smooth like glass, her eyes locked on Ada instantly, like she had been waiting. Welcome, Ada, the woman said, without Ada telling her her name. Ada stopped. Do I know you? The woman smiled but didn't answer. She stood up and walked to the gown Ada had seen outside. You care for this one, right? Ada swallowed. Well, I just wanted to see. Try it. It will fit you, the woman said and handed it over. Ada hesitated, but something in her body moved before her brain. She followed the woman to the changing room. The moment she wore the gown, Ada froze. It hugged her like it was made for her alone. No adjustment needed. Her shape stood like she was a beauty queen. Her skin suddenly looked brighter. Even the small pimple on her chin disappeared. She came out to show the woman. Ada said, admiring herself in the mirror. I don't understand. This gown is like magic. The woman smiled again and said just one thing. Wear it well, but know this. This gown does not like lies. Ada frowned. Sorry? But the woman had already gone back to her counter like she hadn't spoken. Ada laughed it off, paid and left with the gown in a paper bag. She didn't know that her life had just changed. The company dinner was in 2 days, but Ada couldn't wait. She tried on the gown again that night and stood in front of her mirror, admiring herself like she was watching a music video. Everything was giving, the shape, the glow, the quiet confidence. Even her smile was finer. She twirled, laughed, and said to herself, let them talk nonsense on Monday. I will silence them with slay. But the moment she said that, the light in her room blinked just once. She paused, looked around. Maybe NEPA. She shrugged it off, but the real drama started at the dinner as Ada walked into the hall. Heads turned, her gown glittered under the lights, her skin was glowing, her lips were glossy. Even her enemies nodded in secret. The HR lady whispered, that Ada girl really tried tonight. Everything was going smoothly until her manager, Mr. Akin, walked up to her. He said, Ada, you look amazing. Who styled you? Now, the honest answer was she styled herself, but she smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, it's one popular celebrity stylist in Lagos. I paid over 100K." Immediately those words left her mouth, something shifted. She felt the gown pressed tightly around her waist. She paused. She thought it was her imagination, but as she moved through the crowd, she noticed something else. People were avoiding her. Conversations that had been warm 5 minutes ago suddenly grew cold. A colleague she always gossiped with didn't return her smile, and when she took a selfie and looked at it later, she gasped. Her smile looked off, her eyes didn't sparkle, and around her neck, the silver stones on the gown had turned slightly dull. By Monday, the office was buzzing with whispers, not about her gown, but about her. Her close friend, Uche, suddenly stopped speaking to her. Her work laptop got missing, and no one seemed to care. Later that day, when the MD was around, Ada saw an opportunity to impress him. She walked confidently to his table and said, "Sir, that presentation you loved last week, I was the one who did 90% of the work. I only gave my teammate a small part." That was a lie. In truth, her teammate Sarah had done most of it. As she turned to walk away, the gown tightened again, this time painfully. She felt like someone tied a belt of fire around her stomach. She staggered, almost fell. When she looked down at her chest, she noticed something terrifying. The silver stones were slowly turning red, and no one else seemed to notice. That night, Ada sat alone in her room, holding a mirror and staring at herself. The gown was now back in its nylon bag, hanging on her door, but even from across the room, she felt its presence, like someone was watching her. The silver stones that had turned red earlier had gone back to normal, but Ada knew something wasn't right. She opened Instagram to distract herself, but the moment she saw a post from her colleague, Sarah, her heart skipped. Sarah had posted a screenshot of an email thread, writing, "Some people lie for cheap attention. Thank God emails don't lie." Under the post, comments were flying. So it wasn't Ada after all. Office drama again. Ada's hand began to shake. "That small lie I told, this is the result," she whispered. Suddenly, her mirror fogged up. The glass was clean, the fan was on, no heat anywhere. So why was the mirror misty? She walked closer, wiped it with her palm, and screamed. The reflection staring back at her was her, but with red eyes, and the gown was glowing on its own, even though she wasn't wearing it. She jumped back, blinking fast. When she looked again, everything was normal. Ada ran to her wardrobe, pulled out her old kaftan, and stuffed the gown into the bottom of her laundry basket, but she couldn't sleep. All night, she kept hearing soft whispers. "No more lies. Say the truth. We see everything." She covered her ears and cried. The next morning, she rushed to work, looking tired and withdrawn. No makeup, no fashion talk, no Instagram story. That was when her friend, Uche, finally came to her. "Babe, are you okay?" Ada burst into tears. "I don't know what's going on. I think something is wrong with me, or that gown I bought." Uche frowned. "Which boutique did you say you got it from?" Ada wiped her eyes. "One place called Mystique Fashion House." Uche's face changed. "Wait, you entered that place?" she asked slowly. "Yes, why?" Uche leaned closer. "Ada, that place has gist. Big one. They say that woman, people don't know her name. Some say she sees into your life. Others say her clothes are not ordinary. I had one girl fainted at her wedding reception after buying dress from there." Ada's stomach turned. "Why didn't I hear this before?" she asked, her voice shaking. Uche looked down. "Because the boutique doesn't always appear. That's the thing. It shows to people who are hiding things, people with secret intentions." Ada couldn't breathe. "But I'm not a bad person," she said. Uche looked at her gently. "Maybe not, but how honest are you? With others and with yourself?" Ada stayed away from the gown For a whole week, she avoided mirrors, she avoided social media, she even avoided her own reflection on car windows. She felt watched, judged from every corner. But then came the promotion dinner. The MD had shortlisted a few names for promotion, and to celebrate team excellence, a casual dinner was scheduled at a rooftop lounge in town. Everyone was invited. But more importantly, Ada's name was on that list. It was her chance to prove herself to be seen again. She stared at her wardrobe. Other gowns looked fine, but not enough. Then her eyes moved to the laundry basket. The red gown was still there, clean, unbordered, like it was waiting. And before she could stop herself, Ada reached for it. She told herself, "This time I will not lie. I will behave." Maybe it was just guilt playing games with my mind. She wore it. It fit too perfectly, like it had been sewn that very morning. Her skin shone, her body looked flawless, her walk was elegant. She even received compliments from the gate man. But as soon as she stepped into the lounge, her chest began to feel warm. She tried to ignore it. They were just serving drinks when her HR manager asked, "Ada, I've always wanted to ask, how did you really get that contract client last quarter?" Everyone was shocked. In reality, Ada hadn't done much. The client had been Uche's personal contact, but she had claimed full credit. She took a deep breath and said, I followed up closely, gave discounts, and did some fast negotiation. Immediately, the gown began to burn. This time, not tightening, burning. Ada screamed, a sharp cry that silenced the music. She staggered back, knocking a wine glass over. Everyone turned to look. Her chest was glowing red. The silver stones were turning into hot embers, one by one. And then, before the stunned eyes of her co-workers, the gown changed color completely. From wine to bright fiery orange, gasp echoed. And then came the worst part. Voices filled the air, her secrets like a loudspeaker from her chest. "I lied about that contract. I said I paid 100k for a stylist, but I did it myself. I envy Sarah. I only helped Uche because I wanted to look good. I pretend online. My life is not perfect." One by one, her lies and hidden thoughts poured out. People screamed. Some stood frozen. Her boss looked confused. Her colleagues looked disgusted. Some pulled out their phones to record. Ada fell to her knees. She didn't know what was louder, her sobs or the truth being poured out by the gown. When she came to, she was on a hospital bed. The gown was gone. So was her job offer. Uche came to see her, tears in her eyes, but she didn't judge. "Ada," she said gently, this pain is not to destroy you. Maybe it's your chance to finally face yourself." Ada cried, not because of the shame, not because of the job, but because for the first time in a long time, she was ready to stop pretending. Weeks later, as Ada walked through the same street on her way to therapy, she looked to the spot where the boutique used to be. It was gone. Just a plain wall now, but a small sticker was pasted there. It read, "Mystique Fashion House, dressing you in truth since the beginning of time. Not all beauty is for show." Ada looked down at her simple thrift market dress and smiled. She had never felt more beautiful.